So we have on a panel tonight Chairman John Faragher, Deputy Chairman Peter Northfield. We have our Head of Cricket and former Captain Ronnie Irani, and we have our Treasurer Ian Patterson. So welcome to you all this evening. And just to let you know, we have well over 200 people, 200 members that have joined us this evening. So that's great. So without further ado, since there's a lot of ground to cover here, I'm going to start off actually with a very simple question. Actually, it's coming in from Peter Howes, and this could actually, Mr. Chairman, John, I think you could spend the rest of the hour talking about this, answering this one. But it basically says, when can I come to Chelmsford and watch Essex play a game of cricket?
Yeah, well, first of all, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this forum. It's good to get, I like a question like that straight in, you know, when can we come and see some cricket at Chelmsford? It's a bit of a dull day really today, isn't it? When you look at what's happened out in India today and what a disaster that's been there. I think there'll be a few people there asking questions and swallowing a few razor blades tonight. So good luck to England anyway in the last test match that comes up. So look, this week has been a very eventful week, as you all know. I mean, we've been waiting for the roadmap from Boris, and we've all seen that, and we've all interpreted it. It's amazing how many different interpretations you can get from one roadmap. I mean, the questions that I've been asked this week have all been very varied, and it's surprising that this roadmap has thrown up probably a few more questions than we all anticipated. But it is a very clear guideline, and hopefully, you know, we can get it to work. So getting back to, well, first of all, before we get into that question, I just want to thank everybody. Last year, when the pandemic kicked off, you know, the club was placed in turmoil, putting it bluntly. And thanks to the very loyal support of everybody here, all of the members and sponsors of Essex, I want to give a very big thank you for your continued support, because without you, the club would have been struggling. You know, the membership is a key part of the club. We need our loyal fan base and our loyal membership base. And while we have that, we will continue to do the very best we can for you. And the answer is yes, we're going to bring some cricket back to Chelmsford for people to watch this year. The situation that we have right now is the season starts on April the 8th. And from that time onwards, the first section of games will have to be behind closed doors. There's no way around that. We will be in that position until the 17th of May. Now, the 17th of May right now is the date when stadia will be able to open up to crowds and outside events. And that's the first opportunity that we would have to bring some cricket to Chelmsford. So that is the first thing that we are getting ourselves lined up to bring cricket effective from that date. Now, what format that is going to take right now is difficult to answer. We're looking at the guidelines. There are still so many underlying consequences that we have to look at. Social distancing, for one, is still in place, will still be in place then. And so we're going to have to develop our plans around getting people safely into Chelmsford. Our first priority, as always, is the health and safety of people who come into the ground at Chelmsford. So we have to put together a plan that will allow us to do that safely and comfortably. Now, what that entails, I do not know at this stage. All we can tell you right now is that we will be working to get people into the ground. As the next couple of weeks go on, we will be developing the plans as to how we're going to actually implement that, and we will keep you advised as to how we're going to go about it. As we go on from the 17th of May, we lead up to the 21st of June. Now, that is a date that is very much, everybody has, you know, their eyes and ears have all been open. They've seen and heard that date. And that looks like the magical date, we all hope, that we can get back into normality, if there is ever such a thing going to be normality again. But that is the date when, if you look at it, Boris has announced that he wants to lift all restrictions and get us back to our normal lifestyle, the lifestyle that we've been used to. Now, as we know with all dates, whether it's the 8th of March, which is the first key date, then the 29th of March and the 12th of April, those dates are not fixed in stone. things are going between now and each of those dates, things will happen. And there's every chance that those dates will get pushed back. But we don't know, that's not a given, but there is every chance. And we have to be flexible and able to prepare ourselves and work in line with whatever is thrown at us in terms of the dates. But right now, the next key date after that 17th of May date is the 21st. Now, what does that mean to us? Well, if you took it as it has been announced, we lift all restrictions and we go back to normal, we will be working very carefully to make sure that what we can do in terms of the crowd in getting everybody safely back into Chelmsford. Now, how we're going to go about that exactly is still work in progress, because there will still be, there's still the very strong likelihood that there may be some very minor restrictions in terms of, if you like, distancing, social distancing. But if you take it on its very blunt form, that all restrictions are lifted, we would be aiming to bring people back into Chelmsford on as near normal basis as possible. Now, that would mean that we get back to running, the Chelmsford ground as you know it. We bring everybody back in, and cricket gets back to some sort of the normality that we hope. Now, that's the best I can give you at this moment, because it is a continually moving object. This is a very slippery process that we're on. And we don't quite know how each week is going to change. We've seen over the last few weeks how things have developed rapidly. So there will be changes going on between now and those days. But you can take it from here that we will be getting some form of cricket onto you, particularly starting on that 17th of May. That will become particularly tricky for us in terms of the social distancing will still be in effect there, which means we will have to be working in line with the guidelines. Now, what we do know is, in terms of the numbers, I can't put you a precise number on that at this stage, but we will be looking to bring members, and members will be the first priority to come into the ground. And we will be looking to bring into there numbers that we can safely look after within the guidelines. Now, if that works out well, and I'm sure it will, people will need to understand that if we take that on, that is an expensive business for the club, okay? And the first estimates at that are something like that we would be looking at between £15,000 and £20,000 a day to put on cricket during that month. And that is, that's a figure that, the club has looked at. And our commitment to that is because we do recognise how loyal and people have been, that is something that we will plan to actually stand that cost for that period of time. So we were hoping to get people back in, look after them, give them a chance to see the cricket again. But we must understand that those dates can change. There is even a possibility that, we've heard lots of rumours about fixtures still changing. Anything is possible. We can't assume that things will just stay as they are. So we have to be flexible. We have to be agile enough to react to the circumstances. But our plan will be to get you into the ground during that period, 17th of May to the 21st of June, subject to the government regulations in place at that time. And we will keep you fully informed. So that's the same for the period on the 21st of June, when hopefully the ground is open to full capacity and we can get back to some near normality. But right now, I can't give you any more than that commitment that we will be doing that and doing it to the best of our ability.
Okay, John, thanks very much for that. I'll move on to a few questions. I'm just going to reference a few of the people that have, because obviously we've had that many questions and some of them are covering similar ground, yeah. But there's some specifics really from at least John Block has mentioned this and one or two others about a vaccine passport, yeah. What do we think? Is there any likelihood that we might be, considering looking at, vaccine or not? And there's one person also came and said he's not, a favour of that because I think it's Richard Lance, yeah. And someone's much younger saying he's not in favour of that, of course, because he might not be had the vaccine and won't be able to get in.
Yeah, I mean, look, the question of vaccination passports, or call it whatever you like, they are items that whole process is under discussion. This is all very new and it's hot off the press. So we are looking at what we're going to have to do to make the ground operational under all circumstances, and we will follow the government guidelines. And if that is a recommendation, then that will be implemented. But I can't say that we're definitely going to have vaccination passports. I can't at this stage say what other check processes that we'll have. But we, as you will all appreciate, we have to follow the guidelines. We have various guidelines come down from the ECB. But first and foremost, we have to follow the government guidelines, and we will continue to do that and do what's right. But rest assured, we will be doing everything we can to make sure that we get people safely into the ground. And that's our first objective, obviously, is to make sure that we play the games of cricket. We are obliged to make sure that we get teams out onto the field. We will do that. Cricket will be played. This season will take place. And now all we have to do is find a way of getting as many of you as possible quickly and safely into the ground. And that's the commitment we will give you, that is an ongoing work process, and we will continue very hard on making that work.
Okay, thanks, John. We've had, amongst others, Chris Davis, Nigel Tovey, Tim Nichols, all asking questions about, when we know how many we can have in, how are we going to allocate tickets, because if we're restricted on numbers, who gets priority, members, and on what basis? So what are the thoughts on that?
Well, they are all the very things that we're looking at and working on right now. It's not a straightforward process, because whenever you do something like this and you're bringing in limited numbers, the process means that certain people are going to be affected and won't be able to get in, and some will, and there'll be. So we have to find a way of managing that to the very best of our ability. Now, whether that, I don't know the answer right now, but whether you have people applying to come on a particular day, and if there's too many, you do a ballot, and all kind of things are being looked at. So we come up with the fairest way of giving the biggest opportunity to as many people as possible to come into the ground. But in terms of, I can't actually say, that we can do this, that, and the other right now. I'd be wrong to actually give out this, ideas that we just have got no way of doing. So we're looking at every opportunity. And I think there was a reference has been made by one person in terms about some of the offers that we had on for bringing free passes for people or a free meal. Some of the offers that we put out to tempt people to come back this year, and as a thank you for last year. I mean, those sort of things we have to take into account. To the best of our ability, we will obviously always honour those, because at the time that was right to do. But I'm sure most people out there understand that this whole business has changed dramatically. Who would have thought a few months ago that we were going to have a vaccine out there to look after everybody? But things move on, and the whole business that we're facing, this whole pandemic, is changing on a daily basis. So all I can say to you is, look, we are looking at all ways to get you all back into the ground, as many as possible, and in the fairest way possible.
Right. Okay.
I think
question from.
Can I just add something, Michael?
Yeah, sure.
Add something to that. So, I mean, certainly in those May fixtures, I mean, there won't be any walk up. I mean, it will be members only. And we are going to have to control the members that come in. I mean, that's the chance of just being able to turn up and walk into the ground at zero.
I mean, this might be just the right opportunity, because we'll be talking to people who will be very aware that we haven't so far implemented the direct debit process for membership for this year. And what I was about to tell everybody here, what we're looking at doing is we have to give you obviously 14 days notice of our intention to implement the direct debit. Because we're now getting close to the period of time, the cricket is starting, where everybody's back, all the players are back. We're putting the club is back into sort of cricket mode now. It's very much, the focus now is on cricket. And what I'd like to do this evening is to advise people that effective the 25th of March, is when we would look to implement the direct debit process. And that would allow sufficient time for the memberships to go through. and then also then puts people that, you know, they're registered as members, and then we can sort out how we go about ticketing people who turn up at the ground, you know, wanting to come in as members, etc. But it's important that people who want to now be available to see whatever cricket we can put on this year. And as I say, we will be putting on cricket for you to watch, but it has to be, and members come first. So we want everybody now who's on the direct debit process to be aware that from the 25th of March is when we will be looking to take our first, you know, what you call it, just take the direct debit input from everybody. But it's the 25th of March, and that's a key date because we are ready now to start pushing out for cricket for this season.
Okay, just a couple more questions around the ground and everything, and it's quite, I think it's particularly pertinent because it's to do with the social distancing. Obviously, I'm aware of just how much has been going on, looking at the social distancing, you know, implications at Chelmsford, the county ground. And we had Chris Ridgewell, if members are allowed back to watch games in limited numbers, how do we plan to ensure social distancing when members are seated? We've had a question just from Keith Page coming in saying £15,000 per day. You know, just to emphasize some of the costs that are involved in maintaining social distancing. So, John, it's just worth, I think, giving the members a view of just what's been going on in the background here across the circuit and at Essex with, you know, just the problems involved with that.
Yes, I mean, look, if we go whatever number of people we bring in under the social distancing review, we have had a very detailed review of the ground has taken place, and this was organised by architects appointed by the ECB. And each ground in the country has been given, seen this plan, which it lays out how they see that you would have to operate to ensure that you keep the safety of all the COVID restrictions, etc., how they can all be safely implemented. And it's surprising to realise just what is involved in terms of stewarding this, the whole process of getting people socially acceptable distance within the ground, on the approach to the ground, all the extra facilities that you need in terms of toilet facilities, the on-site medical teams that you have to have around for the whole period of time. These numbers, you know, they mount up. You know, one of the main entrances into the ground will be through the Rivergate entrance. That has to be stewarded. It has to be stewarded back into the park. As people are approaching the ground, we have to provide stewards, etc. So it's a mammoth exercise, and whether you've got 200 people in the ground, 600 people in the ground, or whatever, there is a number that we have to satisfy, and we're looking at having to have, whatever the size is near enough the same number of stewards and all the other services as if we had 5,000 people in there. You know, it's very, very difficult and a very expensive process to do that. And those costs are somewhere in the region of about £15,000 to £20,000 per day to stage cricket. And you don't have to be a mental athlete to understand that for a 4-day championship game, you are looking at somewhere around about £60,000 to bring that game on. You know, and that's a huge amount of money, and that's why, you know, we have to be very careful in all of the decisions that we take, because we have to be very certain that the expenditure that we put out is justified. You know, we want to make sure that members can see the cricket. Of course we do, but there is a balance that we, as your committee and as your board, we have a duty to make sure that we look after the club and we don't run the club into bankruptcy. So every decision that we take is a very carefully balanced one, and rest assured that there's no stupid behaviour going on here when it comes to looking after your money and looking after your club. That is the first priority that we will always have, is to make sure this club is run efficiently. But it's important that everybody understands the sort of cost levels we're talking about in staging a game of cricket there. So, but that is all under control. But even just making sure that you can't imagine in terms of what's involved in bringing people into the ground and sort of making sure that the queues at the toilet, you know, if social distancing is in place, you have to make sure that, you know, people are 2 meters apart or whatever it is on lining up for the toilets. you have to make sure that it, you know, if it pours with rain, everybody who's sitting on top of the Tom Pier stand, they need to be able to go and stand somewhere out under cover. But that all has to be socially distant. It has to be stewarded. So the whole package, when you put it together, is an expensive business. But we will get it right. You know, one thing we won't do is skip any corners. You know, we will actually make sure that we do everything exactly by the book to make sure that everybody is safe. And you know, that's a responsibility we have, and you can trust us to do that.
Thanks, John. On the subject of, since it's a good lead in for our treasurer, Ian Patterson, who's sitting up there, I just thought that might be a good opportunity, since we're talking about money. Mike Stringer, who's asked a range of questions. I think we'll get around to some of them, Mike, and I think some of them have probably been answered already. But basically, he said here, how do the club's finances now look after a crowd-free year?
Thank you, Mike, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to answer at a fairly high level, and hopefully very quickly, for me at least, for three reasons. Firstly, there's simply not enough time on this forum tonight for me to go into the level of detail that I would like to go into, because there's just so much to discuss. Secondly, we have an AGM coming up in April, which is a chance for me to torture you with the detail, and I promise I'll do that down the road. And thirdly, because we haven't quite finished the year-end process, we're still working with the auditors to finalise the year-end. But if I summarise, it's actually, this whole thing clearly is a two-year pandemic, a two-year phenomena, and I'd like to talk about 2020 first, then briefly leap into 2021 and some of the uncertainty that still faces us from a financial perspective. The headline numbers, although they're not inked in yet, they're still a work in progress, look as though one way or another we are going to break even for 2020. However, the makeup of that break even is categorically and fundamentally nothing like any year I've seen before with this club. The makeup is truly, truly different. If I look at the negative side of the financial statement last year, we couldn't sell any tickets, we couldn't have any hospitality, we couldn't have drinks and beverage income, we couldn't have the cricket school operating and producing revenues, we couldn't do the wakes, bar mitzvahs, off-sites and meetings that we use our facilities for on non-cricket days. That didn't exist at all. We couldn't enjoy the Christmas festivities that are often in the marquee that's put up. That didn't happen. And all these things are massively negative and draining upon our income, as you can imagine. Secondly, another drain upon our finances last year was the return to cricket. Return to cricket, and this was hotly debated at the time, cost us in excess of £360,000. This is the additional PPE, testing, additional hotels that we had to book for individuals to stay in individual rooms, traffic, coaches and so on and so forth to get people to games. And that was expensive. And that was another drag upon our finances last year. So I have to say the downside was immense. On the upside, we had a bedrock, and the bedrock being, thank you so much once again to echo John's point, you the members, plus our sponsors who in a very, very, very difficult time stood by us, and we're very grateful to them as well. That bedrock was then augmented, this is probably a statement you don't hear too often, by the ECB stepping up and doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And we're very, very grateful for them. They were able to meet all of our financial requirements per the CPA, the County Partnership Agreement. In addition, they paid us the 1.3 million we were due for the 100 competition, even though that competition did not take place. And on top of all of that, there was a small top up that each county received in addition to what we were expecting. That was a very, very important, and it's quite a fundamental piece of our budget each year, as you can imagine. Finally, the furlough scheme. The furlough scheme we took advantage of. We were able to because we physically were not playing cricket in the first half of the season. And we're very grateful to that scheme. We took advantage of that to the tune of several £100,000. And if you throw all that stuff in the mixer, turn it around a few times, we were able just to break even. We had originally planned to make a small profit, as you may remember, but we managed to break even. If I roll through into 2021, we knew pretty early on that 2021 was going to be the make or break year. It's going to be a very, very difficult year. Number one, we're not materially, in a material way, we're not going to be able to take advantage of the furlough scheme this year. Why? On the plus side, we're playing cricket. Our staff are back, they're training, they're actively involved, and that scheme is really not really available to us to all intents and purposes anymore. Number two, we still don't know, and even now with what John was saying, we still don't know exactly how many people we can have in our ground and when. There is a concern, obviously, that if the data doesn't go the right way per the government's announcement, then these sections that they've announced could slide backwards. And of course, that would be very, very unfortunate for us. We are working on the premise, as John mentioned, that June 21 is going to be as close to back to normal as it possibly can be, whatever the new normal is. That will be fantastic. That will be superb, and that could rescue our financial year in 2021. We're still working through the minutiae of the May 17 to June 21 period. We are, looking to get as many people in the ground as we possibly can at that time, and there will be some costs associated with hosting those games with no fee paying, no ticket paying guests in the ground to offset that cost. But so far, half time through the pandemic, we've come out pretty much flat, pretty much even, break even. No major loss, no major profit. Our reserves, such as they are intact. I should point out that our reserves really don't amount to more than about 3 months running costs for the company. They're still material, but they're not going to change the world for us. But they are there as a backstop. So far, so good, Mike.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Ian. A couple of questions have been coming in as well, and I'm going to turn to Peter Northfield. Ronnie, I'll come over to you in a minute. Don't worry. Somebody has asked why you're wearing a cap indoors, but I did say you're from up north. So, Peter, a couple of questions around the membership. In fact, somebody actually pertinent to the playing side of it has said, Keith Page actually, why aren't we playing it? Why aren't we going up and play at Colchester? Who's got a bit more space?
It would be incredibly difficult, in my opinion, to set up in what is effectively a park to fulfil the social distancing that will be required in that period. I just don't think it's possible to do it. The one advantage we do have at Chelmsford, we have fixed seats, and therefore you can actually designate certain seats won't be in use, and that will ensure a certain amount of social distancing. I think if people just turn up, sat on the grass, it would be impossible to police. And also I think at this short notice, whether we'd be able to get a wicket repaired up to the standard that we would want. We certainly wouldn't want a repeat of what we've seen in India, would we?
No. And we had a couple of questions. I think one or two Premier Suite members have written in. I know one or two have already been replied to, but just maybe for the record, Peter, and certainly John Cousins, Richard Selby, what's happening regarding to Premier Suite members?
Well, we haven't put Premier Suite membership on sale this year, and I think for a perfectly sensible reason, we didn't know what we could sell. Even after 21st of June, what will indoor social distancing be like? We just don't know. I think what we would do is to offer a daily upgrade to that if we were able to do it. But there's something that we've got to work through. But no, they aren't on sale this year. We very much value our Premier members, and hopefully next year it's all back to normal and we'll see them all back. But hopefully we'll be able to offer daily rates for those people that wish to upgrade. Okay,
thanks, Peter. Ronnie, over to you. First question from Roy Clark for you. Is it too early to know of Alistair Cook's intentions for the 2022 season? And if he is to retire, and he hopes he doesn't, will the club be offering him a coaching job? He's become increasingly noticeable that he's doing more and more media work.
Are you still there? Oh, we froze for a bit then, Mike. We froze. Sorry, technology. You'll have to, apologies, you'll have to repeat that one again. It froze out.
Oh, okay. Basically, this is Roy Cook asking about Alistair Cook's intentions for the 2022 season. Do you know them yet, or is he is he looking to, is he maybe looking to, will the club be offering a coaching job, or is he going to do media work?
2022 season. Well,
Yep.
we just want him to win the title in 2021, don't we? That'll be a first step, I think, for our chairman. Firstly, about the cap, apologies, bad hair. I'm keeping to all the guidelines and doing the right things as the PM suggested. No haircuts for me, so that's why it's a little bit struggling. I know one or two on this call, haven't put their hair on like me, but I think John Faragher said he was still on the radiator earlier, but that was his suggestion. But from the cap point of view, that's why so I'm trying to look smart. And the aspects of Alistair Cook, he's still up for it. He's still got a lot of cricket left in him. I know he's doing a bit of media work and bits and pieces that he fits in. You would have seen him on Channel 4. I think it is Channel 4 or Channel 5. I think it's Channel 4, doing the test match stuff, which he was great. But Alistair, I think, has certainly got a lot more desire, a lot more to offer. As long as we're winning and being successful, I think, certainly Alistair wants to play for as long as possible. I know John, our chairman, has spoken to him on a couple of occasions regarding his position. Sorry, our executive chairman, John Faragher, and his position has spoken to Alistair and what he liked. And I've had a chat with him this winter. And listen, when it comes to Essex and playing for us, I'm sure there's no doubt in his mind that he wants to go on and be as successful as possible. 2022, maybe 2023, who knows? He's still a young man, Mike. Still a young man, still a bit time to go. And what I've always said to Alistair, when he sort of come to me and we've spoken about certain things, because one day he's going to retire from the game. But once you retire, as many of you will know, it's over. You're gone, and as long as you're playing and performing, you're enjoying it, which he is. We've had a bit of success of recent times, which he's massively engaged in and been a big performer for us. So Alistair, I'm sure, will play for as long as he possibly can and as long as he feels good about that. So 2022, we're hopeful that he can go on and win us some trophies.
I mean, Ronnie, we can just add a little bit there, just to say that discussions are actually ongoing with Alistair about extending his contract. So I think we'll be able to give some news on that in the not too distant future. But those discussions are taking place, and we'll let you know what happens. Okay.
Steve Peacock has been asking about Simon Harmon and what's the situation with overseas players. So what's happening with Cameron Delport as well.
Yeah. So Simon Harmer is as overseas player, as you know. He was called back originally, so he's come in. So we've got Peter Siddle, County Championship. Simon Harmer, he's played all forms of the game as our second overseas player. And, that's where we're at the moment. We're still looking, obviously, for that second person at the moment when it comes to T20. And hopefully we can, identify the right cricketer that is going to have a big influence on our team and our players for that competition this year.
Right. Okay. And Chris Davis has written in saying, given the ECB have finally rewarded our red ball domination with a solitary call up for Dan Lawrence, have they indicated how much time he will need to be rested over the summer?
Was that a bit facetious, that one, Mike? Was it? Sarcastic, that was it. Who's that from?
Chris Davis.
Come on, Chris, step up, mate, step up. I think Dan Lawrence looks. Listen, I think Dan Lawrence won man of the match in this Test match, didn't he? He got man of the match. I mean, that's what happens if you don't get picked and you get rolled for next to nothing. You might as well walk away with the gold award. It's such a shame, wasn't it? The pitching conditions with this Test match. I mean, we've all been gearing up for it, all been excited about it, and there's a few fans and supporters in there. Unbelievable stadium, isn't it, out there? Incredible, really, but such a shame. And listen, I don't mind a turning pitch. I don't mind a pitch that is offering some assistance to the bowlers, but that was just wrong, wasn't it, on many levels? And as a spectator sport and a duty we have towards the followers of the game, let alone the players, but the followers of the game, which are fans and supporters, that the reason why we go out there and play the game is to entertain. For that entertainment to be cut short like it was today due to the conditions it's just unacceptable. And from that aspect, disappointing. But Dan Lawrence, I'm sure he would have gained. Whatever happens, listen, great start in Sri Lanka for him. Or it might not, altogether worked out for him so far against India. But for me, having experienced, very similar to what, Dan's done so far on his first main England tour, he'll come back a far better cricketer, a lot more rounded individual. And he'll want to hopefully come back to Essex, I've no doubt in my mind, to prove his worth of top class. And, if we can have a cricketer who's gone away with England, hopefully does, even better. The start he's had was fantastic and we all got behind him, and we'll keep the positivity up. When he comes back with us, then hopefully he'll go to the next level as a cricketer as well. So yeah, he's a brilliant talent. We all know that. He's a great lad, and we just hope he goes on and does well with England. And if he doesn't, then he'll come back with us. We'll welcome him with open arms. We'll put an arm around him, and we'll try and make sure he kicks on to the next level.
Okay, thanks, Ronnie. Give you a rest now, Ronnie. Put your cap back on. Start thinking again.
Thank you. Thinking cap. That's a good one, actually. Not bad for you, that, Mike. Hey, John is improving, isn't he? He's gone for a bit. He could get a job at this.
Okay. A few questions on fixtures. T20. One or two people. Apologies, by the way, if I don't mention everybody, because there's so many people questions, and some of them are multiple questions and cut across different things. But Douglas Church has just asked about 2020 tickets. Graham Woodward, what's happening? 2020 tickets. Is it going to prioritise members? When are the tickets going to go on sale? John, do you want to pick that one up?
Oh, sorry, hang on. Yeah, right. Look, the situation with tickets. We go ahead, as I said to you, with the direct debits on the 25th of March. We will propose to go on to the ticket selling sometime in early April. Okay, that's the quickest we can do that in terms of if we get the direct debits through 25th of March. A bit of time for Ryan in the membership office to get himself ready. Early April, and very early April, we will go on sale with T20 tickets. Yes, of course, members will get first priority, and we will, as always, we will do a period of time when members get preference on buying the tickets, and that's as it should be. So I think that answers the question. The actual date, can't give you at this precise moment, but it will be early April, and members will definitely get priority on tickets. And there will be that usual priority time of between, I think it's normally about a week, 10 days or 2 weeks that we give for members to purchase tickets ahead of everybody else. So yeah, that's the answer to that.
Right. Okay, John. And just as a follow on from that, and there's a number of people have picked up on this, including Keith Welsh, Kevin Watts, and this is the ECB's hidden plan. Yeah, maybe. But people have picked up on this, so what are the prospects of swapping championship fixtures over with T20, to make best use of the social distancing restriction deadlines and whatever. Yeah, because obviously there's about 3 home games before the middle of June, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, look, the fixtures for this year are out, okay. And they're what we're working towards. There have been a number of people have probably heard various comments made about, well, these fixtures are crazy. I mean, first of all, you get that every year. No, the fixtures never suit everybody when they come out. There's been some talk about pushing. Do we want to have T20 push back to later in the year and get the championship games over at the beginning? But the problem you have with all of those ideas is that once the fixtures are set, to try and actually change them and keep everybody happy is harder than when you tried to pull them together in the first place. If you now try and alter them to any great extent, you run into all kinds of problems, whether they be the clubs, test matches, games that are going on at the test match grounds, etc. Trying to rearrange that, and Sky as well. The Sky broadcasting, has all been set in place. So are the fixtures going to change? Well, I would say what we've been through in the last year, anything's possible. But I'm not envisaging anything at the moment changing. I think it will be an awful lot of hard work, and a guy called Alan Fordham, who has that awful task of trying to prepare the fixtures each year. I should think, the thought of having to re-look at this lot and sort of try and reschedule an awful lot of games wouldn't be the easiest task, but I would never say that it couldn't happen. Okay,
No.
It's the season is still a couple of months away in theory, well, a bit less than that now, but sort of 6 weeks, and anything could happen in those 6 weeks. So I can't commit either way. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we've got the fixtures, they've been released. That's what we're working towards, and until someone tells me otherwise.
Okay, and just on that vein as well, John Lipscomb has asked, is there any chance of any of our home games prior to the May the 17th being classified as test events?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a good question, that, because what we're running into in terms of having limited numbers of people coming into the ground, we have to look now at how we stage those. We'll have a couple of pre-season friendlies, then we've got the games which are behind closed doors, and we are looking to make sure that we look at every possible opportunity to make sure that come the start of the season, the 8th, the first game is on the 8th of May, and the second game follows pretty much quickly straight after that. Certainly by the time we get to the second game, the second championship game, we would like to make sure that we prove that the ground can work. We've never been in this situation before, and we have to be prepared to do whatever's necessary. And if we need to actually have some staging events where we need to try it on limited numbers, does the ground work? I mean, as an example, you could say, do we on day one of a game have only 200 people in there, and we try and work it out one way, and then the next day 200 people coming in through another entrance, and how we handle that part. These are the sort of things that we are discussing right now, and that's why it's very difficult to commit exactly how we're going to operate once we get into the May time, or certainly through the early part of the season in April, and then into the May when the stadium opens. All I can tell you is that when we get round to opening the stadium in full, in that period in May, we will be ready to actually make sure that we can handle the place correctly. But people are going to have to bear with us. There will be a lot of trial and error in this, because we're treading into unknown ground here, and errors will occur. We will learn from any errors that we make, but by the time we actually become sort of fully operational with the ground open, we should have got it pretty much ironed out and be confident that we can do it properly. Okay,
John, a couple of related questions have come in from Janine Diggin and Malcolm Bailey around about second 11 games. Will there be second 11 cricket, and will there be access permitted to watch them?
Yeah, I mean,
any news on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, there is the fixtures are out for second 11 cricket, but of course they are subject to all of the current COVID restrictions. So the way we're structuring first team cricket is no different to the way that the second 11 has been structured. We have to do it correctly, and we have to do it safely. And so right now, in terms of, yes, there will be some second 11 cricket, but how we're going to control that, and as to what extent in terms of social distancing at second 11 games, if the social distancing are the rules, then those rules will be implied, whether it's first 11 or second 11. We cannot go away from the laid down government procedure. We have to follow that. So the only answer I can give to you at this stage is, yes, there will be second 11 cricket, and we sincerely hope that we can get people in who want to watch second 11 cricket. We hope we can get them into the ground and safely do that. So this is one where you're going to have to just bear with us while we work through this, because it's not something that you can just sit down in one afternoon and decide this is what you're going to do. It's a moving target, and it's tricky. You've got to be fully on top of your game in terms of how you're going to handle this. You're talking to all of the sort of health and safety people from the local council, with the police force, with the medical teams. You've got to get all these sort of things. If you'd imagine, we have to have, for every game now at Chelmsford, you have to have 2 medical teams. I think it's 2 now on site. All times you have to have 2 qualified doctors, and that is applying to second 11 as well. So pulling all this together is not a 5-minute task, but we've got time. And so when the season starts up and gets going, we will be ready. But it's too early to give you the actual finite answer to that at this stage.
Okay, good. Ronnie, a couple more questions for you here, actually, on the playing side of things, or player side of things, and from Mike Stringer again. So how do the players feel about starting the season with empty grounds and then being potentially full from June? And also, you may as well have this one as well. How, given the restrictions, how is pre-season training going, and what's planned between now and the start of the season in April?
Yeah, so players wise, yeah, naturally, of course they do. They want crowds and members and fans and supporters in on the ground. There's no better buzz than, scoring runs or taking wickets, and there's people there to cheer you on. And I guess fundamentally that's what you, I guess, do it for that pleasure and that satisfaction and reward of being successful, and people, engaging in that with you and enjoying your success. There's no better feeling, as they say. But yeah, they naturally would love fans and supporters in the ground, but it's a reality. It's where we're at, isn't it? It's a pandemic, and there are people's lives being lost during this period of time, which is extremely sad. So yeah, the players totally respect the position of what we're in, as you'd expect. We're a good group of lads, really good group of guys here at Essex, and always have been. I mean, ever since I've been at this club, we've never had really many wrong-uns, as we'd say. So they're all, coming into line of what we'd expect during this period. Would love the fans and supporters in, but understand that it can't be the case at the moment. If we can add any value of people actually still, at least the game's moved on. Of when I was playing in my day, God, I do so old now, don't I? Back in my day, at least they can watch and stream and see a little bit of the cricket, which is fantastic. And I think, Mike and our chairman got some plans regarding that in the future, which would be good. It's better than nothing. It's not what we want or where we want to be. And then once we get into the grounds, I think from that aspect, the players will be excited and looking forward to it and well up for it, as they say. So pre-season training has been difficult because, we would have had a training camp to go overseas, to usually the UAE or places like this with warmer climates, to prepare for the season. And that has been a really a big successful pattern for us over the last 5 or 6 years, I guess, since I properly got back involved. We've catered and budgeted, maybe sacrificing certain areas of our cost sort of prediction we've needed to do of spending on a pre-season training camp, where the guys go out and really sort of get ourselves tuned for the season. Naturally, that's not going to happen, but it's not just going to happen for us, it's going to happen for every county in the country. So the preparation is different. The indoor school, not ideal, needing obviously the circulation of air and this, with the COVID restrictions of which you naturally got to abide by. And it's been difficult. So they've been working out, they've been keeping fit and strong. I guess the main core focus for us has been making sure the bowlers and their strength and conditioning, because the fast bowlers especially, but even the spin bowlers, they put the bodies through it. And that's the key of, if you look at the injuries Surrey sustained last year from their fast bowlers, I think Alex Stewart said to me that at one time they had 8 bowlers out. And if you have 8 fast bowlers out your team, out your squad, you're never going to win anything. And no chance. Even the budget they've got compared to ours, you'll never win anything. And you never compete, to be fair, even though they did compete on a couple of occasions for sure. So the injuries, focusing on the strength and conditioning with the players, obviously welfare and well-being, that goes without saying. And that has been the main focus the last few weeks. And then the guys have been doing their little bit in indoor school. Luckily, because we've got a fantastic groundsman and ground staff underneath Stuart Harrison and the head groundsman here, which you all know, he's been around for many years, as long as I have. He's got the outdoor pitches and facilities up to hopefully an acceptable way to us to practice outdoors. Believe it or not, can you believe it? We're going to be playing cricket outdoors or practicing outdoors next week. Now, probably won't be Monday, it might be later on in the week, because if you practice outdoors now, you can cause yourself problems in the next sort of 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks as you plan ahead, because the indentation that's created, and as that gets firmer, the indentation in the pitch, it could be dangerous. We don't want anybody breaking their fingers and things like that from a pitch that is uneven, which, the weather decides many things. And that is a big reason, again, why we do go overseas rather than practicing outdoors. But this year, it's just one of them, because if you go overseas, the practice facilities that you have end up still being excellent 3-4 months down the line. And that's what you want. You want the practice facilities which get worn and beaten up. You want them to maintain a higher level, because if your practice facilities and your conditions are world class, there's a really good chance, as any coach will tell you, facilities are world class, your players can adhere and get up to a world class level. So the next few weeks are going to be interesting as we venture outside and Stuart does his best around the squad of players of what we've got. On being outdoors as well, it's a lot better when it comes to the COVID responsibilities that we have in and around the players who are getting tested, you know, nearly every day when it comes to you know, the COVID test which we have. Everything's in place. The players are up for it. They can't wait for the season. Naturally, we had another, you know, successful season last year, even though it was shortened. They're chomping at the bit, really.
Mike, there's just a quickie in there that Ronnie touched on, was streaming.
Oh,
I mean,
good. That was my next question, John. Before you go, Richard Jude, Chris Davis, Gordon Wilson, all coming in and saying, "Oh, you know, we're going to be streaming."
And the answer to that is yes, very much so. And we are actually putting into place, and I can tell you here, Mike has been very much involved in this, but we're looking to put in a very much improved streaming services for this year, and with a very much improved Wi-Fi system around the ground. So I think you'll see some really very positive steps on the streaming in particular this year, with the sort of tracking of the ball and all this sort of thing, fast improvement. I don't know if you just want to add anything yourself on that, Mike, because you're very much involved in the streaming. But a quick couple of words on where we're moving on that.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of aspects really, or several aspects. One being the amount of infrastructure that's been put in behind the scenes, and indeed Ronnie knows some about this as well. You know, to make sure that all the technical infrastructure is there to support a more reliable service, because obviously we know some of the issues that we've had and other clubs have had as well. And it doesn't happen easily, some of this stuff that's, you know, all the networks and everything that sits behind, and you're sort of quite often suffering from, you know, the weakest point, the weakest link in all of this infrastructure. So there's a lot of work already you know, happened, is currently being happened, is planning to be happened, to try and get that reliability in place, also to get the performance as well, so this thing really flies. And lastly, it's worth us, you know, looking at the overall content, the package. You know, those of you who have watched the T20 productions, you know, you'd notice obviously there was a lot more went into those in terms of sort of pre-match, post-match, during the match. John, you mentioned there about the ball tracking as well. So we're trying to find a balance between cost, you know, and the investment for all of this. Yeah, the whole idea is to gradually, you know, really improve that content, make it more reliable, make it faster, and when people do come back into the ground as well, some of the initiatives to, you know, make the in-bowl Wi-Fi and entertainment, you know, better for all the members and guests. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Thanks for that. Thank you, Mike. Right. Next question.
Right. Well, we're rapidly getting towards the end of the meeting, and we managed to get through a lot of the questions. So there's a couple that have come up. One from Mark Byfield, actually, about the women's international fixtures still planned for Chelmsford, and do we have dates yet?
Yes, that's right. That's correct. They are. And we hopefully, once again, depending on social restrictions, it will determine what we can do within the ground. But yes, those games are on. Okay.
And Debbie Knight, a question for you, our current executive chairman, John Faragher. What news on the appointment of a new chief executive?
Well, watch this space, really. I mean, it's a process that, you know, is underway. It's come at a time when, you know, there's been a lot of pressure on the club in all kinds of different directions. This has been a very, very busy winter for us, and so the process is underway, and we will keep you advised as to what happens there. But meanwhile, the club will continue to function as you all expect it to. You know, we have carried on. We haven't missed anything, and everything is absolutely fine. And so when someone comes in to take it over full time, they'll be taking on a club that's in a good position, and that's important. But the club right now is good. And let's look, while we're just talking and coming to an end, you know, we've had, over the last few years, we've had great success here, and that is going to continue this year. There's absolutely no reason why we won't be bringing home a trophy or two next year. You know, we're well set. The players are all motivated. The coaching staff is motivated, and the staff at Essex are motivated. Now, the whole club is now excited at the thought of cricket coming back on a scale that we didn't see at all last year. We'll all be able to see some cricket under our new floodlights, which will be, you know, a sight to see. Those who may have seen the lights been put on when they're in practice, or when we've had practice sessions with the lights, they are absolutely, you know, they're unbelievable. It transforms, you know, the ground. So it'll be exciting to see those first games under the lights. A lot of work has been done around the Rivergate entrance. So that's all ready for people coming in. So, you know, we've a lot of reasons to be very, very excited and very positive about the year that's coming up. And I do actually believe that we have a side as good as anybody in the country. You know, we've got some very talented players there. We've got some great youngsters who are knocking hard on the door to get into the side, and that's healthy. So Essex cricket is in a marvellous place. And other than, you know, this blessed pandemic that we're all trying to work our way through, but I actually think it's a credit to everybody here. You know, your committee, the board, all of the staff, everybody involved with the club. And what's more, that, you know, you guys, you know, the members that support us, we are a very, very successful club. And one of the reasons is that we all actually come together and want it to be successful. You know, everybody chips in, and, you know, we've overcome the tough times. There will be more tough times, but we will come together and we will come through them. Now, there's very little that will stop Essex moving forward. Now, we are very focused with everything that's thrown in our way. We are focused on continuous improvement, movewards and upwards. And this year, we will be out there looking to bring 3 trophies back. You know, and everybody said, I remember people saying, that's ridiculous thinking. You can't think like that a few years ago. And then we win a championship, and then we win a double. We win, you know, we win the Bob Willis last year. No, we are on a good run, and we are the county that people are wary about. Nobody likes playing against Essex because they, you know, we never fall over, we never give up. And that's the mentality that we have, and that's the mentality we've used to bring us through this COVID experience. Not something we want to go through again, but we've come through it, and we're here. We're ready to go. The season's coming, and we will be ready. And as soon as we can give you more information about, you know, the numbers that we can get in, etc., we will do that. All right. So we will keep you regularly informed. It'll either be through forum or through mail shots to you, but you will find out exactly. As soon as we have something to tell you, we will tell you. And hopefully, very shortly, we'll be able to give you an exciting announcement about someone who may be joining us for the T20 this year. So, you know, we haven't given up. We're still at big ambitions, and I think you'll be very pleased with the signing that Ronnie and the guys there have pulled off. I think it'll be a big plus for us. And if we can actually just do the final bit, you'll enjoy it. So let's look forward to a great season, including T20. And I think, you know, we'll be sitting here this time next year getting all excited about going into 2022 as the reigning champions.
Thanks, John.
No pressure there then, John. No pressure there, mate. That was good. It was Churchillian-like. There's no doubt about it. That's fantastic.
But I think what I would just like to say, and it's useful, we get a chance, but all of the guys who are on this forum tonight, whether it's Ian and Peter and Mike, you know, the whole of the board have contributed in such a big way to get us through this last 12 months. And there's a lot of unsung heroes at Chelmsford. And without everybody supporting us like we did and everybody chipping in, we wouldn't be where we are right now. So that's a big thank you from me to everybody on the panel here tonight, and everybody at the club, and to you, our members and our loyal supporters. Thank you very much. Let's hope this continues. We want to bring you a very exciting summer of cricket, and without doubt it will happen, and we will do it. Let's hope that the COVID restrictions are lifted and we can really get back to enjoying ourselves. But if they're there, we'll find a way. But guarantee we will get some people into the ground this season to see the cricket.
Well said, John. I mean, for me, I don't want to reiterate that in the sense of the members and support, like John just touched on. We've got sponsors that have paid serious amounts of money for no return last year. Absolutely nothing apart from doing what we all do, the streaming and watching it on the screen. Members, supporters paying their memberships. Some of them like knowing they're not going to go in and say, no, take my money, anything else I can help with, which is because they want to be part of the journey, like John just touched on then, which is just shows, that's why we're Essex. We're so different.
You're right there, Ronnie, and let's remember that, as members of, we're members of Essex County Cricket Club, but that is not just about the cricket that we all love to watch out in the middle there, but this is about the future and having a stable club. If you look at our youth development programs, the academy, and all the other bits of cricket that we put on, that is what you get as a part of as your Essex membership. It's about being a member of this great club and all that we stand for and all that we're trying to achieve within the game, within the community and various aspects, whether it's ladies cricket, disabled cricket, that all comes, and that makes you as a member. We're all part of that great club, Essex County Cricket Club. So if we can always look at your membership and what you do, your contribution in your membership fees goes to make sure that Essex County Cricket Club is here and will be here for the future. And that is so important because we, as you know, we want to continue developing our own young Essex cricketers. My dream would be to see 11 Essex guys walking out onto the field. Wouldn't that be a marvellous day? But hey, we're pretty good now because we average 8 or 9. Most games, you've got 8 or 9 Essex youngsters are in the side. And that's probably the best ratio in the country. We're very proud of what we do and what the coaching staff and their ability to bring through and identify youngsters and bring them into the side. Long may that continue. But that's what you get as being a member of Essex County Cricket Club. And please do remember that because it's so important that if we look upon this as the big picture. This is Essex and this is what we are, members of Essex County Cricket Club.
The support's probably been the loudest you could ever imagine without actually being in the ground. The support that the members, supporters, sponsors, and a lot of that is a financial support because we have to cut our cloth accordingly as a club that we have. We're not going to open our ground up and have 50,000 in the stadium. Of course we're not, but the support has been the loudest it's ever been without even shouting at a cricket ball or a six going out of the ground. It's been incredible and it has been tough. Like John said, it's been a nightmare at times, but the support has been massive to this club.
And Essex County Cricket Club as a side and as the members, we're talked about around the country. This is a club that every other county talks about. Remember that, they recognise the support we have, whether it's at Chelmsford or at the away games. We always have great support. And we are definitely the county that others look up to. They want, the number of times they want to know what's the magic formula that we have at Chelmsford for doing the things we do, because it's ridiculous. We shouldn't be achieving what we do, but we do, and that's because we've got great people involved with this club.